bringing you inside the USL Championship and League One.
Segmer's got there. Marquinhos! He's been knocking on the door. He knocks it down.
Diving into all the biggest stories and top headlines.
You are ripping and roaring today.
This is USL All Access.
It's almost impossible to recreate that level of magic.
With Mike Watts and Devon Kerr on Sirius XM FC.
Welcome, everyone, to a new edition of USL All Access. A very happy Tuesday, wherever you might be. We've got the president of the Tampa Bay Rowdies joining us later. Al Lang is back, and Ryan Helfrick's going to tell us exactly how it happened, where the Rowdies are at. Cannot wait for them to return home this coming weekend, and they're going to have a huge game to look forward to for their fans and for the club. We're going to chat a bit about what all went on in San Antonio. And I ain't talking about the basketball, because this is Sirius XM FC, and they have like 19 channels to talk about the NCAA Final Four. The results of last week. We'll get to more national TV on the weekend. It's all coming up here on the show. Devon, that's Devon
Michael.
Kerr. This is Mike Watts. Emmett McConnell's at the controls, if that's unclear, if you're new here. Devon, we made it home.
Oh, God.
Did make it home.
Dear Lord. It certainly wasn't trip from the netherworld in terms of travel, but it started to get there, didn't it?
It was not as bad as Oakland was last year with the airline
here's
infrastructure crashing.
Yeah. I'm the wrong person to talk about that because I was heading to another usage. So I had already planned to fly to another airport and stay the night. I was only delayed like 2.5, 3 hours, but I had a hotel room to fly to, slept there. I had no issues whatsoever. I know that you and some others on the crew certainly experienced far worse on those travels back.
Took 2 days back then. This merely was just 18 hours delayed.
Speaking of back then, does that not seem like a decade ago?
It does. And for people who are unaware, Sacramento and Oakland. Sacramento? Is that who was playing?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I'm just being 1,000.
Sans Roro Lopez.
See what I'm saying?
I'm picking up your vibe.
You may remember when President Joseph R. Biden said he would not run for a second term. That was the day. So we didn't even end up on CBS because they have wall-to-wall news coverage, as you'd anticipate. And yet, we had deployed the full USL experience to Oakland.
The most expensive show in the history of the USL Championship.
On CBSSports.com. Absolutely.
I mean,
no hate. I'm just saying we did all that and didn't even end up on TV. But that's
we had a
neither
good
here
show.
nor there.
We had a good show.
We had a great show. And
Oakland lit it up, if only for a short time. They would love some of those goals now.
That's right. Dozens of people watched it. I'm sure more watched this game, Dev. San Antonio came into the weekend perfect. Phoenix had come in without a win. You and I sort of felt going into this, San Antonio hadn't hit top form yet. Mitchell Tainer was injured last week against Lexington. Obviously, we spoke to him on the show last week, expressed optimism that he would play. Precautionarily, they held him out. Phoenix had some coaches' decisions going on in the background, multiple players out for suspension. And Dev, damn if this league doesn't throw you a curveball.
Sure. I just want to go on paper. San Antonio's running away with it. However, I just want to go back to my comments in last week's show and our conversation before the game and our talk with our sideline. She can be analyst. We're not saying reporter.
No,
her brain goes far further than that. I respect
Marion credit.
Marion Crowder. I respect her work ethic so much, and I just kept saying, while their success has been built on the defensive front, and sure, they were lacking in the final third. So much of it was transitional in nature that the width of the field, if Phoenix could stay high and consistent, the width of the field would scare me. And damn if my soothsaying abilities weren't back again. Just a little pat on the back. Look, I want to start off with this. First off, one of the most difficult things to do for a manager, Mike, is to stay steadfast in their ways, especially in the eyes of defeat, A, and B, when your back's up against the wall. And I mean that in the sense of Pa-Modou Kah, Phoenix Rising, starting the season. They were winless through 4 games, a ton of injuries, 9 unavailable prior to this game. I believe it was 6 coming into this match. First team players, emergency call-ups for academy players, and then they ran into a behind-the-scenes issue that I fully respect them keeping private. And he made a decision, coach's decision, to remove 2 starters coming back from injury from the lineup. That's not an easy thing to do. And to say, you know what? If we're going to do this long term, we're going to do it the right way. And I'm not going to jeopardize my judgment, my morals, or my values based upon 3 points. And they didn't. And it was almost poetic that everything that they had been through had come to a culmination of having to lose 2 players in the lineup prior, obviously, to the 90 minutes. And you're just looking around going, wow, can anything else happen? Yeah. They all stuck together because that's what this game was about. They stuck in, man. They defended well, thought they countered well at times. They controlled the majority of the first half, certainly created the best of chances, and certainly Mitchell Taintor was missed on the back line with Alex Crognale.
And not a knock on Crognale either. It's more a statement about
He did well.
Mitch. Yes, he did.
And dude, I would say Lexi Suwahi did well. I thought them more so. I mentioned transitional defending and where the coverage comes from. Mitch Taintor and Alex Crognale are so good. Those are probably 2 of the biggest assets that they have is their ability to chase in wide open space, use their physical leverage to their advantage. They didn't have that as much. I got to say it, man. I wasn't sure. I'm still not 100% positive, but I wasn't overly sure as to whether or not I wanted to see Madronda in the midfield or at outside back. I'll tell you, man, I get it. The game changed and they were down 2-1, but the second that they bumped him up into the midfield, they were much more aggressive. I mean, as ball dominant as he is, he's got so much energy. He wanted to be in there, and I felt like the Achilles heel over the course of the afternoon was the engine room. They didn't get Jorge Hernandez on the ball enough. When they did, his back was to goal. He didn't feel like taking anybody on. I get it. Like, he gets a goal from a set piece, but they just weren't really threatening going forward. It didn't really seem like at any point in time there was interest to step out of a comfort zone. It was ball off the back line, into the midfield, ball sprayed outside. Everything was very one-dimensional, where there was a lot of overlapping, underlapping. There was real commitment to the attack from Phoenix Rising. So I said that they stuck together, but they had a lot more ideas they were able to chase down.
Yeah, and I'll say this. Let's go back to the Phoenix thing for a moment because totally agree. So often everyone wants answers. You don't always deserve answers. Some things for the betterment of the team in the long run are kept in-house. Was this like a giant issue? No. This isn't the kind of thing that's going to carry month after month. This isn't, train on your own. It's not suspend. It's none of that.
Simple.
But it's enough where infractions carry consequence, and if you let the consequence slip once, the entire standard drops.
Absolutely.
That's all it is.
Yeah, spot on, right?
I think sometimes people want to know exactly what happened, and for everybody's benefit, it happened, move on.
Yeah, it's also one of the, I would say this about Pa's personality, Pa-Modou Kah, head coach of Phoenix Rising. He's in that interesting transition as a player where he's got that old school mentality with the new school flair in terms of personality, and that's the old school mentality, which I love and I highly respect. Of we're gonna do this. These are the pillars, okay? Here's the line you have to walk. If we're going to stray, it is going to be premeditated and in a necessary fashion. And if you step outside of that line unnecessarily, there are consequences to it. It's that simple. But to your point, nothing astronomical in nature, and I think it goes to show a really good testament of character, both on the coaching staff side, to stay true to themselves, and to the team for believing that regardless of circumstance, location, or opponent, they're able to get a result. I was very impressed with the performance.
Yep, completely agree. Dev, I think a lot of people are unfamiliar maybe with what goes into a week on our part in these CBS games. I just sort of wanted to give a behind-the-curtain look at what this looks like for us. So Devin and I both arrived for a Sunday game couple days in advance on Friday. What that looks like really was most of our work came on Saturday. For me, my laptop melting down meant I probably spent 6-8 hours getting all my data back up to where I needed it to be to call the game. But Saturday it was go to training for San Antonio. The crew is setting up the entire facility from drones to cameras to audio. There's a reason it looks and sounds better. A lot of effort goes into this from a lot of people. Ultimately spoke with 3 players plus coach. Ended up meeting up with some people around the facility before and after, including the sporting director and assistant sporting director for San Antonio. Phoenix ended up flying in late. They were supposed to be at the hotel around 9. They didn't get there till close to midnight, we'd later find out. So speaking with Pa-Modou Kah and Harvey Neville, Hope, chatting with a bunch of guys around that team, getting ready. Dev, you went and met with part of the team at the hotel the morning of the game. There's a lot of moving pieces involved, and it takes a lot of people for us to go on air and do our jobs, doing a lot of elite work to get us to that point, and I think that's worth noting.
Speaking of which, and I agree with all of that, I would also be remiss if I didn't mention the generosity of time given by Mitch Tainer and Alex Crognale. Got an awesome opportunity to sit down with them for probably the better portion of about an hour and a half, 2 hours over a late lunch. Solid taco spot, by the way.
Very
solid. A quesadilla was probably better, but
best
solid.
Quesadilla I have ever had.
My God, incredible. The way that the cheese was just folded on one side, crisp and not.
Makes no sense.
Oh, so that leads, it leads me to my question. Thoughts on the tacos? And here's why I say it. I really, really, really enjoyed the tacos. They're not my favorite overall, but I really enjoyed them. And the reason I like them so much is the simplicity of the recipe. It's shell, it's meat, cilantro, onion, and you got a little bit of lime. To me, that's the way it's got to be, Mike. And here's why I say that. One of my most definitely top 5 favorite travel stories is with you. And it is at the, correct me if I'm wrong on the year, 2021 CONCACAF Champions Cup, previously League Final. Monterey, Club America in Monterey. You and I had some tacos. Now, certainly they were upgraded a bit. We were at a steakhouse, but it was the same exact idea. All that was the most preciously cut ribeye, as thin as it could be, less than 1/8 of a millimeter. Grilled to perfection. Seared is probably the right terminology. Little avocado salt sprinkled right up over the top. There was lime juice. There was smoked jalapeno on the side. And there was onion in that corn tortilla. And that is it. That was a good trip together. Do you remember that?
It was. I remember it like it was yesterday.
So are you for the simple tacos, or are you more of
a little pico would have gone a long way for me?
You're a pico guy.
I appreciate some
But
pico.
We had the hot sauce, which was also really good.
The green, it had more kick than I anticipated.
When's the last time?
That's more avocado. It was.
When's the last time you went to lunch with 6 people, saw that much food devoured? It's like $80.
It was.
That's like, Mitch looked over. He was like, "Who's got this?" I'm like, "USL will take care of it, no problem." And then we sat down. I'm like, he's like, "You sure, man?" And I looked at it. I was like, "I'm sure, bro."
and then we get to the register and it was $83, and we're like, I don't know.
Oh, it's gold, man.
This. All right, real quick before we head to break, Sean Tosh, welcome to history. Welcome to the record books. Tosh becomes the all-time minutes leader in the championship. He passes the recently retired Kenardo Forbes. Dev, I ask you, this is a guy, open tryout the Bob Lilly way up in upstate New York. He was with the Milwaukee Wave before that. He was at NIU before that. So the guy went indoor like King Kenny, into a tryout with Bob Lilly, into a couple of years in Rochester with King Kenny and Bob, then going to Louisville City now for the better part of the last decade. 5 times All-League the last 5 seasons. 3-time champion, twice in Louisville, once in Rochester, twice Players' Shield winner for the regular season title, the double in 15, and again last year in Louisville. Where does he stand in the grand scheme?
Top 10. I don't put him on Mount Rushmore, but I put him as top 10. And there are a couple of reasons for that. Number one, longevity, for sure. I mean, you think about it, he's been doing it since 2015. So it's great that he's there every single year, but also the familiarity that he provides in the locker room because of how healthy he always is. The guy is always on point, in and out, works hard, he's consistent, and he's always available to his managers. That has been a large voice within that Louisville group for a long period of time. That now, as we're talking, is certainly a very different group than the 2017 team that won that first title, right?
Right.
And yet he's seen the changeover stylistically. Things have adapted under Danny Cruz over the years, and obviously John Hackworth was involved in that conversation just after James O'Connor. New stadium, new everything. You know, the only reason that I say top 10 and not top 5 is I think people tend to go, oh, you value goals over this and that. No, not at all. I'm the first person to stand in front of a speeding locomotive for my backline brethren, whether it be a center back, an outside defender, or a goalkeeper. I just feel that in terms of overall talent, there are other players that I would value more. Then again, the conversation comes in about length of time, right, and tenure. So
yeah,
top 10 for me. You?
Yeah, that's a general ballpark.
Yeah.
I think we're in that neck of the woods. I just want to say her name right, bro. I really do. But he's locked in to the number 1 spot in the minutes race, and I imagine he's going to be there for a little while. Not the least of which he's got a long way to go in his career. I know he's in his early 30s now at that position in that club. You could easily see him go 2-3 into 4 more years of, being around that Louisville City franchise in some capacity, if not continuing as a starter and an all-league guy for a while to come. So congratulations to Sean Tosh. You are now the most minutes in league history, and you trail only me and Devin in most minutes earned in league matches. That's half a joke. All right, when we come back, 3 teams steal points, literally 1 point each, late. We explain all the stoppage time madness of the weekend next on USL All Access.
Let's get back to USL All Access on Sirius XM FC with Mike Watts and Devon Kerr.
Welcome back. It's USL All Access on this Tuesday night. If you miss any part of the show, it's available tomorrow on the USL YouTube page and also airing on the Sirius XM app. Mike Watts, Devon Kerr, how about we chat about some of the other results this weekend? We'll chat with Ryan Helfrick, the president of the Rowdies, in about 10 minutes' time, so don't go anywhere. Let's start with the late drama, Devon. Las Vegas and Orange County meeting up at Cashman Field. It was Knight Pickering who ends up saying, as was said so brilliantly in the broadcast, Knight, 90-plus 3-game winner, and Orange County off to a bit of a scuffling start. Big win for Vegas.
Shout out to Josh Appel, first off. But my only thing is I wish he would have said it right away.
Oh, you had to have it.
If he hit it right away, like, it's so poetic. And I don't even know if you need to say anything else after the fact. I love the night call. I just wanted him to get to it and almost leave it as opposed to tagging it and then coming to night and then coming back around. It's picky.
Thankfully, Josh doesn't listen to the show. So
no, he doesn't.
Keep doing what you're doing, homie.
What's better, the goal in transition or the ball? Because for me, it's the ball. I think the ball is unreal. The way that he bends it, it's Nigro, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think is okay. So the ball that he bends around it is insane, man. Like it's sitting on a platter and he just sees it. Okay, I don't know what the high line was. I think Las Vegas overall has a problem in terms of how they're trying to attack. They are too one-dimensional. I mentioned it for San Antonio in the first segment, how everything was kind of A to B to C. I see a lot of that since the changeover from Dennis Sanchez, where Valentin Noel isn't on the ball enough in more advanced positions. I think teams have done a really good job of closing him down, not necessarily doubling, but definitely clogging some of the passing lanes that would enable him to spring some things open on the side. They get more aggressive, like with Pinzon. I think you let him roam a little bit, you'll start to get more aggression off the back line. They did really well at the end of the first half. I think they deserve the lead, though. Orange County seem confused. And more importantly, on the defensive front, I don't know what's going on right now, but for a team that, at least for me, under Danny Stone, I've seen such great strides on the organizational side of things. I'm seeing way too much separation on the defensive front that's allowing teams to get in behind them. And obviously, in this case, a late game winner.
All right. Elsewhere, Louisville scrapped for a point at the death late in Sacramento. Pirano a goal at 69. And then Amadou Dia. Ball sort of bounces out to him. He's got an awkward header that loops over the keeper into the net. Louisville definitely up for it. Wasn't like Birmingham where the disappointment was in effort. Sacramento ate their heart out last year. At Lynn family, no less. Could have been more clinical. Sacramento, 5 goals in 4 games. Dev, they're basically on last year's pace.
Yeah, I think Sacramento's struggling a little bit with the ideas going forward as well. The good news is you get Christian Pirano on the score sheet. I would say it's a little bit deeper than that for me, Mike, because while maybe we haven't seen enough creation on the attacking side of the ball, I actually think they've done enough to get wins in all the last 3 games. I do. Going back and thinking about the moments in a match, including this one, that could have given them the lead. To me, I think this is a mental thing. It's not 3 straight games where you've given up goals in the final 15 minutes. They've given up 4 goals overall, and they've either lost or end up drawing. That's unacceptable. That's a mental thing. It's exactly what's going on with Indy, and we'll get to them in a second. That's a mental thing where sometimes, a la Phoenix Rising, you need to go through some of these struggles in order to figure out a way to win. I can promise you this much. Enough was done on the field, A, and B, I sure as hell would not want to be in that locker room for one of those letdowns, yet alone with 3, with Neil Collins standing right there going, yeah, this is about accountability. Yeah, and he would do it in a much sexier accent than I just put it through, and probably a little bit more vigor.
Yeah, I was going to say, Scottish is tough to understand with anger. All right, real quick here. Indy and North Carolina finished 2-2. Connor Donovan, 90 plus 3. Charleston goals from Cal and MD Myers. Jennings and Myers score 2-1 over Tampa Bay at Patriots Point. The Rowdies are 1-3-0. Anything stand out from either?
No, just Indy. 7 points given up from a winning position, similar to the conversation in SAC. Sean McCauley, I'm sure, is and should be furious with the letdown. They look like they were uninspired at the end of the game. They could have had one more. They didn't. And all this is about locking in and staying focused for 90 minutes. They didn't do it. You make a mistake on a set piece and it costs you 3 points. That's what this game was about. And unfortunately for them, it has also been a tendency
to give up late goals.
Yeah, follow the path. Breadcrumbs.
Okay. I'm just finishing.
Tacos.
We finish each other's sentences. Tacos, yes. All right, before we go to break, Loudoun, top of the East. Ryan Martin's boys with a 2-0 win over Hartford at Segra. Cariaga made the bench for Hartford. That's something. But Dispay and Makangila both got sent off. They got knocked out in the Open Cup by a League One team. Time to figure it out, boys, real quick. And then Rhode Island, 3-0 over Oakland. Rhode Island, 3 goals in the final 10 minutes before the half. Gavin Glinton is probably looking over both shoulders because he knows Oakland does not suffer this for long. 1 point in 5 games and 12 goals conceded is most in the championship. When we come back, Ryan Helfrick is the president of the Tampa Bay Rowdies. Al Lang is reopening for business, and we can't wait to chat with him about it. It's on the other side of the break here on USL All Access.
Giving insight to all the biggest moments in Championship and League One. This is USL All Access on Sirius XM FC with Mike Watts and Devon Kerr.
Welcome back, everyone, to USL All Access. We've been talking up Al Lang's return, the Rowdies' return to home ground. Such a frustrating conclusion to last season on a number of fronts, and yet they're ready to finally make their home debut for 2025. The president of the club, Ryan Helfrick, joining us on the show. Ryan, Mike, Devon, happy to have you in. Welcome.
Glad to be here. Thanks for having me, guys.
So I want to start from 30,000 feet because you had a brief stint with the Bucks, and then you came into this Rowdies organization better part of 15 years ago now, worked in sales and service, make your way to VP, then chief operating officer a couple of years ago, now club president. Can you sort of describe your rise alongside this Rowdies organization? Because I think as well as any team in the league, this organization promotes from within and does it the right way.
I agree with you, right? I was the 4th or 5th employee here in 2010. I think Lee Cohen actually started about a week before me. And Lee and I rose together throughout the ranks, and we were very close throughout 3 different ownership groups. And we put in a lot of hard work, and I learned a lot from Lee, learned a lot from the other owners that we had, or the previous owners that we've had, and just continue to be resilient, work hard, and that is something that we pride ourselves on. We do a lot of hiring from within. And we want people who understand the Rowdies' history, our culture, and what we're trying to accomplish. And that's winning championships, which we haven't done since 2012. So we hope to get back on track with that, and then filling out the stadium, packing out Lang, and putting on a great fan experience for our supporters.
Ryan, I want to backtrack here for a second. You guys talked about promoting from within. If we go to the changeover that was Neil Collins back in 2018, his first full season was 2019, obviously with the club until he departed in 23. The results were astounding during that stretch. Never finished lower than 5th in the league overall, including 2020, where you guys made it all the way to the USL Championship final. I still maintain till this day that it happened. Mike prohibits me from doing so in the public eye, although he did acknowledge on CBS. 2021, won the double. You won the regular season Players' Shield, won the Eastern Conference until just falling short in the final against Orange County, and then, of course, in 2022, Eastern Conference finalist, all those battles against Louisville. Where I'm going with all that is, real quick, it went from what you all had established as this repertoire of repetition, success, constant. Neil Collins leaves, Lee Cohen leaves. Of course, Lee Cohen went before him in the fall of 2022. Can you maybe describe, although the title has changed, what the pressure is like associated with stepping into a couple of different roles and maybe absorbing the idea of what has to be just title success every single season?
Listen, Devin, I think I've learned a lot throughout the process, and so is our team, so is our staff. I think I put a lot of pressure on myself when Lee Cohen originally left the organization. And that I don't think, one, it was fair to me, it wasn't fair to the staff either, right? But we do have a standard, we do have expectations, we do expect to win trophies. We haven't played up to those expectations thus far. We had a good start to the season last year, hit a rough patch, obviously won in PKs against Detroit in the playoffs. And then Aaron Malloy hit us with a worldly in the Eastern Conference semifinal last year. And the start to this season, it definitely hasn't been what we want it to be, but I think it's also been a lot of change for our staff with the hurricanes that happened, not being able to play at home, not being able to finish at home last year, everybody kind of being out of their routine and their schedule. We don't want to make excuses, but at the end of the day, we have a job to do, and we are the Rowdies, and we expect to be one of the top clubs in the league. So it's been challenging for sure the last couple of years, but we're going to continue to put our best foot forward. And the ultimate goal isn't going to change for us, right? We expect to be in Eastern Conference championships, and we expect to add trophies to the case.
Ryan Helfrick is with us. He's the president of the Tampa Bay Rowdies. Dev, I jumped you. No,
you're good. It's okay. I was going to make a smart comment, but I don't have one right there. So neither do you, though. So that's okay. Aha. So I'm curious, just one more on those, and I know we want to dive into those details, but fair or not, the process of maybe creating a new identity, right? Nico Castillo, love what he's been able to do with you guys coming over from Miami FC, of course, head of soccer operations now. You were named president at the beginning of 2024. Can you maybe walk us through what that's been like for the two of you to maintain but also reestablish success, but doing it maybe with your own stamp on things?
Yeah, I think it's also how you define success, right? Nico and I have worked closely together. He's been with the club on and off since 2012. So Nico, Lee Cohen, and myself, we all worked very closely together for several years. I think we have the right pieces in place. I think it's about, again, like you mentioned, establishing our own identity. On the business side, in terms of the fans in the stands and the game experience, we feel like we continue to enhance that side of the business. On the field, we feel like we have the right pieces in place. We're confident in our technical staff as well. It's just about getting wins now. So I don't think it's reinventing the circle for us or reinventing the wheel for us, right? It's doing what we know how to do consistently and maintaining that culture in our building, in the locker room. And we're excited to see what we do when we get home. I think, as we look at last year, I think there's probably some fans who thought it might have been a disappointing year at home. We lost 3 matches at home. That's a high standard, right? So 7 out of our next 8 are home matches, and it's not an easy schedule. We play Loudoun this weekend, who's been unbelievable. We go to Naples for the Open Cup, and then we're back home against Louisville City. This team's resilient. They have positive attitude. So we'll see how these guys come out over the next 3 matches and what the results are.
Ryan Helfrick is with us, president of the Rowdies. Miss any part of the interview, it's available on the SiriusXM app or on the USL YouTube page tomorrow. Ryan, you're actually talking to us not from a fancy office, not even the home locker room, which we've gotten a tour of and was brilliant in olden times. You're talking to us from the referee's locker room because there's a lot going on at Al Lang right now. Try and describe what the last couple weeks have looked like trying to get this thing remotely on track to open up again.
So, Mike, I think it's not the last couple of weeks. It's really been the last 7 months, right? So we've just been putting in a lot of work. When Hurricane Helene hit towards the end of September, we took on about 18 inches of storm surge. As both of you know, the stadium is right next to the bay. So we took on about 18 inches of storm surge across the field, all the way to the backside of the stadium. And also, as you know, the locker rooms, the executive offices, the team store, and a lot of other areas that are behind the scenes are actually underground here at Al Lang. And all of those areas had about 4.5 feet of storm surge. So there's millions of dollars in damages, and we got after it right away with our ownership group and with the city of St. Petersburg to start the renovations. And we're excited to be back this Saturday. However, they're putting the finishing touches on the locker rooms right now, the offices right now, the team store. So I am happy to be in the referee locker room, as you mentioned.
You don't have no painters overalls or little lining tape? I thought maybe you might get involved there.
I have it. It's just not in camera. And I'll be changing once I get off this show.
It's hung up in the referee's locker, obviously.
You got it.
That fresh paint smell. Love that. To your point, and I'm with you. I remember there was a national game last September on CBS Sports Network, and we did a show statistically of what the numbers look like before the displacement due to not just Hurricane Helene. To your point, like that was the worst part of it, but the whole western side of Florida was ripped through Mother Nature, right? It destroyed so much, and it was devastating to so many different people that are going to take a long time to recover. People that don't know, and we explained it on the broadcast, you guys were flying before that came through. I mean, statistically, top 5 in all major categories, right? Points per game, goals per game, shutouts. But you didn't just lose your stadium or the ability to train at your training grounds. Your entire organization and players' families were displaced to the South Florida area for a little bit of time down in Miami. That is an insane thought. For someone that has lived that life, to get out of your natural routine, that's very difficult to handle. Silver lining. What's the biggest takeaway on the positive side of that process that you all went through that maybe applies to your process moving forward?
I think the biggest thing, Devin, is we came together as a group, right? We had to rely on each other. We had to trust each other. We had to help each other out. And that was a challenging time for a lot of different people in our community, our fan base. I have many friends, and so do a lot of people on staff have many friends and family members who had houses that were destroyed. So we really just had to band together, pick each other up, help each other where we could. And I think it really just brought us all together as a team. And that was the most important thing, leaning on each other, relying on each other, being there for one another. And that's something that we feel like was already instilled in the organization, just made the bonds between the front office members, the coaching staff, the players even stronger than where they were.
The western side of Florida, again, for people that don't know, carries such a lineage of history. That's difficult to describe into words. I'm talking about from professional all the way to youth. And I want to focus on the youth side of things here for a second. For as long as I can remember, whether it be, and you could go from Fort Myers, Bonita, Sarasota, Clearwater, obviously Tampa, St. Pete area, the Chargers, right? Countryside, national championship teams at the youth level. Tampa Bay United has always kind of been like the recent filter, if you will, at the youth level. Can you maybe describe how you all are trying to maybe tap into the youth system a little bit more, maybe establish yourselves a little bit further? Tate Johnson's a great example. Tampa Bay United, loaned to you guys twice, championship and Open Cup experience, goes to North Carolina, top 15 draft pick, already getting regular reps for the Vancouver Whitecaps. How do you intensify that process to also benefit from it financially? Because this is still a business.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think there's actually a couple things. So first thing would be we have a great relationship with a lot of the youth clubs. I'd like to say all of them, but a majority of them here in the Tampa Bay region. So within a 60-mile radius of our stadium, we have about 45 youth clubs. It's a very saturated area, but there's also a lot of talent. I think one of the areas that we've really improved upon is identifying that talent and the pool of talent within our region. A lot of our coaches, they go out and they watch youth matches. They've started to develop relationships with clubs, with directors of coaching, and with players and their parents as well. So when you look at us or you come out to a training session in preseason, we typically have players from youth clubs out there that we're looking at. We also have a lot of exciting news coming up this summer, right? Which I'm not going to get too much into now because my marketing comms team and soccer ops staff would not be happy with me. But there is going to be a pathway to professional soccer in the Rowdies Club through the youth ranks. We're not at the point yet. We haven't had a full-on academy. That's something that we'll look at in the future. However, we have started to create a pathway with the youth clubs in the area. And that's been really the anchor for that has been the relationships that Robbie's built with the clubs, the rest of the coaching staff, Nico, myself, and some others in the area. So again, like you mentioned, there's too much talent here in the Tampa Bay region not to create a pathway to the Rowdies. There's been too many 15, 16, 17-year-olds that have escaped this region and gone on to have success other places. We want those kids coming here. We want them playing for the Rowdies. And like you mentioned, it's a business. We want to develop these kids and be able to move them on so that they can achieve their goals and that we can be financially stable as well.
Tampa Bay Sun Bowl, man, that tournament always, I mean, it's still a national powerhouse, but at one point in time, one of the best youth tournaments in the world. I spent 12 years at the youth level across 16 different age groups. I never beat Blackwatch. So I got a little thorn there. Maybe we'll talk about not getting involved with them behind closed doors. We'll put them in the referee's room. You talked, I've seen you in the public talk about renovations at Al Lang. Can you maybe go a little bit deeper onto how that affects positively the fan experience? Maybe what new things they could anticipate come the weekend?
Absolutely. So there's a couple things that really impact the fan experience, but again, a lot of the damage that we took on, Devin, was behind the scenes, right? So, but through all this, we've been able to add some things to the stadium to really make sure that when fans come to the match, there's something new and exciting for them. So first thing is we moved our team store. So we took away our executive offices that were right next to the locker room, knocked down all the walls, and we have about a 2,000 square foot team store now. In the past, we just had a big mobile tent out in the midfield area of the stadium. So we're really excited about the new team store that's going to be opening up. We also added a new midfield club area for our premium ticket holders, which will be really cool. There's going to be 15 to 18 flat screen TVs in there, a bar, food and beverage options for them as well. So that should be a cool and unique space. And then outside the stadium, we've also created what we've called the Michelob Ultra Fan Zone. So there's drink specials for adults, there's activations for adults, but there's also a lot of activities for kids and for families in that area as well. There's also non-alcoholic beverages, food, snacks, and things like that. So again, we're just excited to get fans back to Al Lang Stadium. As you both know, it's our 50th anniversary. That's a big deal for us. We were the first professional sports franchise in the Tampa Bay region. There's a lot of history here. A lot of the guys from the 70s and 80s still live here in the area. Even a lot of the guys who have retired in the modern era still live here in the area. So we're excited to celebrate that with them. We're excited to celebrate with our fans. And again, typically we usually host by this time of year. We've already hosted 2 to 3 matches, but we work closely with the league, and the USL was gracious enough to push back our first home match to April 12th so we could finish these renovations and make sure that we could celebrate the 50th at home where we belong.
Watts, just making sure you were listening. My biggest takeaway from those points were Michelob Ultra, and they destroyed the Lee Cohen suite. Selfishly, he had over 2,000 square feet to himself. Ridiculous.
That's accurate. However, I heard non-alcoholic beverages, Devin. So when we go,
I'm not on pain meds because of surgery anymore, so I don't have to worry about that.
Oh,
we're good. We're golden.
Excellent.
Yeah, back on it. On the wagon, off the wagon. I don't know how that works. It's got 4 wheels, and I just try and pay attention. We're speaking to Ryan Helfrick, president of the Tampa Bay Rowdies of the Eastern Conference. They do battle at home at Al Lang this weekend against Loudoun United, who have surged themselves to the top of the Eastern Conference, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Be remiss if we didn't ask. Obviously, massive news over the past month that has included Division I and Pro Rel. Now, understanding that certainly we are a far cry away from either one of those taking place. The idea that it could be 2027 for D1, 2028 the year following for the implementation of promotion and relegation. Sliding timescale there for sure. Where do you guys fall into that mix? Is there an ambition to make the leap to Division I? I guess what's the overall reaction by the Tampa Bay Rowdies organization, given what we've heard in the past 30 days?
Yeah, I think it's an exciting time for the league. It's an exciting time for USL. I think it's a differentiator for us as well. I think us as the Rowdies, we're definitely excited for the opportunity. I think we're all kind of waiting to learn a little bit more on this and what it's going to look like, and what needs to get done to reach that D1 sanctioning, along with implementing promotion relegation. So as that plan continues to unfold, we'll have our close eye on it. I know the guys in the locker room are super excited about it. The players are excited about it. The fans are excited about it. So there's just overall a lot of excitement, and there's a lot of buildup with the Club World Cup coming in this summer. Then you have FIFA World Cup in 26. And then I think probably within 2 to 3 years following that, we'll have promotion relegation in place. So we'll see how everything unfolds. As an organization, you always want to be at the top, and you always look forward to competing. So I think, again, we just need to understand and really know what the full scale plan looks like. And then we can start preparing and making sure that we have our strategy and plan in place to make a run.
Ryan, I'm just curious, before some of those specifics come out, right? It could be anything from U.S. Soccer staying true to the 15,000 seat capacity, right? Hoping that there's going to be some sort of wavering, not a waiver provided. But without knowing all the specifics, whether Pro Rel or D1, whether on the field or in the front office, are there changes that you all can start to implement now to benefit the club moving forward?
I think we're always, to be honest with you, Devin, we're always looking to make changes to benefit the club, right? We're always looking at all aspects of the business and the team side and what makes the most sense for the club to move forward. How do we enhance the experience? How do we become more aggressive on the pitch? How can we take advantage of certain situations? But at the end of the day, I think, until we have the full plan in place, we can't look too far ahead and really start to put a full-scale plan, strategy, financials together on what this looks like until we get more details on it. I think there are some conversations happening. I know there's conversations happening behind the scenes, just in terms of how we move forward as an organization in this new ecosystem, which is exciting. But again, we need more details to understand what it really looks like so we can implement the right changes. As you know, you don't want to make too many changes too early without having enough information when we're still potentially 3, 4, 5 years out. But as we get closer, we continue to have these conversations and discuss strategy and what this could look like in some areas that we may need to pivot in, whether it's on the team side, whether it's on the business side, obviously, whether it's on the infrastructure side as well.
Ryan, I got to know, are you a man of familiarity? And where I'm going with this is I told you earlier, Mike said that 2020 final didn't happen, but alas, there is a ticket right there. There is an iron brew signed by the former boss himself. Now, while he was going to be ineligible, unavailable based upon COVID protocols to be on the sideline, he would have watched in that building behind it. I know where Lee Cohen would have sat. Where would you have sat if that final had taken place in its entirety?
That's a good question. I would have been midfield, somewhere up at the top of midfield, right behind one of the benches on the bar rail without a drink, watching the match. So I would have been up there. But I think it was one of those things. I remember that day like it's yesterday.
Same.
I almost block it out, to be honest.
Yeah.
With this. It was devastating news. I just remember so much excitement. There were a lot of Phoenix Rising fans here. The club was here. You guys were here. And then to get the call and to hear the news was definitely difficult and a hard pill to swallow. But we move on from that. And let's just hope we don't go through something like that again. That was tough forever.
No, let's not do that again, but let's get you guys to a final again so that we can go enjoy the St. Petersburg atmosphere and, of course, the venue that you guys have painstakingly put back together. We're overjoyed that you guys are able to reopen your doors here. Appreciate the time and what's a really busy week. Go get your painter's smock and get back to it, Ryan. We do appreciate it.
Thank you both. Appreciate you guys and all you do for the league.
That's Ryan Helfrick, the president of the Tampa Bay Rowdies. We are back to look ahead to Birmingham and El Paso, the championship's first game on CBS Sports Network of the year on the other side of the break here on USL All Access.
You're listening to USL All Access on Sirius XM FC. Here are your hosts, Mike Watts and Devon Kerr.
We're back on USL All Access, closing out on this Tuesday night. Mike Watts, Devon Kerr. Emmett is hard at work with the throttles. Let's chat about the upcoming game here on CBS Sports Network. As you know, last week, big CBS was sort of our national kickoff. There's a ton of stuff over the summer, but this is our first game on CBS-SN this year. El Paso at Birmingham, 5 p.m. Eastern on Sunday. El Paso hand Lexington their second straight loss. Wilmer Jr. scores again, as he did in the Open Cup last week. A 2-1 win over Lexington. They ran Galaxy 2 totally off the field last week, which impressive in the sense that they dominated their previous opponent. Galaxy did, but, you know, they're also children. Birmingham, 0-2-2 through 4 games. Upset by Little Rock Rangers in the Open Cup. Now, Dev, I am going to point to this, and then I want to get your thoughts on the overarching game ahead of us. Their losses are to Loudoun and Pittsburgh. Their draws are against Louisville and Detroit. As far as schedules you can get for the first month of the year, that's pretty rough. But El Paso's a team at home you need to take care of when all the shrapnel is around you. Fair?
Okay. So the first part, schedule has been tough. Agree with that. El Paso, yes. I would then argue the following week, Hartford, given their court form, is a must-win as well. And here's why. When you turn the page, Rowdies, I'm not doing home or away, by the way. I'm just doing the schedule. Rowdies, Rhode Island, Detroit. Could easily be 3 losses. In terms of the quality of play that we've seen on both sides of the ball, you'll get Miami again. Then Indy, Louisville, Sac. This could turn the page into mid-June and get away from them real quick. Now, you talked about what the results have been. Yeah, it's a difficult schedule, but my concern isn't about who they've played. It's about how they've played. Defensively, they've struggled with the loss of Alex Cronali. Fenwell Kavita isn't back from injury. The back line has been 6s and 7s, the amount of players that they've had to use. The midfield rotation is extremely strange to me. I do not understand the idea, of getting Enzo Martinez deeper into the conversation of the 6 or the 6-8 pivot, especially with his legs. That puts too much work on him. And to me, it removes him from some of the brilliance that is his distribution going forward. You get him higher, you let him release into the game. It also takes off some of the kilometers off the odometer. On the attacking front, lack of ideas have troubled them. Though I would also be quick to mention that they are getting some players back. We just got Danny Trejo back on the weekend. Tyler Pasher is back for the first time this season as well. Who else is gone? Steven Turnbull. He's been injured. AJ Patterson hasn't appeared all year, so injuries have been a problem. But execution and intensity needs to come up. Because you talk about the heat that is for Gavin Glinton, this Birmingham Legion team has aspirations. We've talked about the expectations of what should be for that team. It's got to come up, and it's got to come up quick. Because regardless of what goes on with personnel or front office, more importantly, you should be concerned about the table, because the Eastern Conference is heating up. And real quick, Loudoun, Louisville, and the rest of the Brady bunch are going to run away from you, and you're going to be on the bottom of the playoff line looking up again, which at the end of the last season, they themselves said was not good enough. El Paso is tight-knit in nature. They're difficult to break down on the wings. There's a lot of rotation in their group. That's why I say the intensity has to be higher, because if anything has been true for El Paso in their first couple of matches this year, it's that for all 90 minutes and beyond, they come at you, they push, and they claw, and they find a way to get a result.
That's the Wilmer way. All right, Dev, before we say goodbye, did you learn anything this week?
I learned, in fact, that I do have the memory of an elephant sometimes. I talked about Vegas before and where their rotation needed to be better. I want to add that Johnny Rodriguez is still trying to find a way to get comfortable. He's not an out-and-out 9, and some of the movements or lack thereof underneath them haven't helped their attack. I expect more out of him, too.
I've learned that the collar is an underrated part, and I'm actually fine with it. It's got a little bit of looseness to it. I thought it'd be constricting. It's not.
No, Mike, ever since I can remember, I've been popping my collar.
Yeah, all right. Take that LaCroix shirt and get out of here.
Popping my collar.
For Devin, Emmett, Mike, we'll talk to you again next week.
Popping my collar.
Enjoy your week, everybody.
This is USL All Access. If you missed any portion of the program, listen back anytime on the SXM app.